Imagine a city, Strasbourg, summer of 1518. A woman, Frau Trophia, steps out of her house and begins to dance. In the middle of the street, without music, without stopping, day and night. She dances for hours, then for days. Within a week, 34 people join her. In a month, there are 400. Men, women, children. They dance to exhaustion, to collapse, to death. Hearts burst, legs break, bodies contort in uncontrollable spasms. This isn't a scene from a horror movie, but a real event. A bizarre epidemic that swept through an entire city, leaving doctors and authorities completely bewildered. What was the dancing plague of 1518? An unknown disease, a mass psychological phenomenon, a divine curse. Prepare to delve into one of the strangest and most terrifying mysteries in the history of medicine and the human mind. Our story begins in July 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, which at the time was part of the Holy Roman Empire. The city was already facing difficult times. Poverty, famine, and disease were common, but nothing could prepare them for what was to come. On a seemingly normal day, a woman named Frau Trophia stepped out of her home and, for no apparent reason, began to dance in the street. She didn't stop. She danced for hours, with frantic energy, her movements becoming increasingly erratic and uncontrollable. In the following days, Frau Trophia's dance attracted attention. Curious onlookers gathered, but soon curiosity turned to dread. Other people began to join her. First a man, then a woman. In less than a week, about 34 people were dancing non-stop in the streets of Strasbourg. By August, the number had exploded to approximately 400. The city was in a panic. The dancers were not dancing for pleasure. Their faces were contorted with pain and exhaustion. They screamed, cried, begged to stop, but their bodies would not obey. They danced until their feet bled, until their muscles tore, until their hearts failed. It is estimated that, at the peak of the epidemic, about 15 people died per day due to exhaustion, heart attacks, or strokes. The streets of Strasbourg transformed into a stage of horror and despair. Local authorities and doctors of the time were completely lost. Initially, they thought it was demonic possession or a curse. Exorcisms were attempted, but without success. Then, doctors ruled out possession and diagnosed the dancing sickness as a hot fever caused by overheated blood. The solution: make the dancers dance even more. They believed that if they danced to exhaustion, the disease would be burned out of their bodies. To this end, the city opened dance halls, built stages, and even hired musicians to play for the dancers. Carts were used to transport the most. Exhausted, the idea was that dancing would be the cure. But the result was the opposite. The music and the presence of other dancers only intensified the phenomenon, and more people fell into the uncontrollable dance. The situation became unsustainable. This mystery is so bizarre, it seems like fiction, doesn't it? But it was real. If you're as shocked as we are by the dancing plague, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other unbelievable mysteries like this. Faced with the failure of these measures and the increasing deaths, authorities changed tactics. They banned music, dancing, and even public gambling. The dancers were taken to religious shrines, such as that of Saint Vitus, known for curing nervous diseases. Gradually, throughout September, the epidemic began to subside, and the last dancers finally stopped. But what truly caused this collective madness? Modern theories are diverse and attempt to explain the inexplicable. One of the most prominent is ergotism. Ergot, a parasitic fungus that grows on damp rye grains, produces alkaloids that can cause convulsions, hallucinations, spasms, and a burning sensation, known as St. Anthony's fire. The climatic conditions of the time, with rain and floods, would have favored the fungus's growth. However, ergotism usually causes gangrene and is not known to induce continuous dancing. Furthermore, the symptoms described by historians do not perfectly match those of ergotism. Another strong theory is that of mass hysteria, or collective psychosis. In times of great stress, such as those Strasbourg was experiencing, poverty, famine, disease, religious superstition, the human mind can react in extreme ways. The popular belief at the time that dancing was a divine curse, perhaps sent by Saint Vitus, may have led people to physically manifest this belief. The sight of others dancing could have acted as a psychological trigger, leading more people to join the frenzy. It's like a social contagion, where suggestion and belief manifest in physical symptoms. Some researchers combine the two theories, suggesting that a small dose of ergotism may have acted as an initial catalyst, weakening people and making them more susceptible to an outbreak of mass hysteria. Dancing, in this context, would be a way to release accumulated tension and suffering. There is also the perspective that the dancing plague was a form of cult or religious ritual. In some cultures, ecstatic dance is used to achieve altered states of consciousness or to connect with the divine. However, the uncontrollable and fatal nature of the dancing in Strasbourg suggests that it was not a voluntary or pleasurable ritual. Other, less accepted theories include unknown neurological diseases or even a form of social protest disguised as illness, where dancing would be a way to express the misery and frustration of the population. The dancing plague of 1518 was not an isolated event. Historical records show similar outbreaks of dancing mania in other parts of Europe, especially in the Middle Ages. The most famous before Strasbourg was in Aachen in 1374. This suggests that there was a pattern, a cultural or environmental trigger that allowed these bizarre phenomena to occur. The Strasbourg case, however, is the most well-documented and the deadliest. It forces us to confront the fragility of the human mind and the power of collective suggestion, especially in times of crisis. It reminds us that history is full of events that defy our rational understanding, and that the line between physical and psychological illness can be thinner than we imagine. That to this day, the dancing plague of 1518 remains a mystery. There is no single explanation that completely satisfies all aspects of the case. It was a human tragedy, a spectacle of horror, and a grim reminder of how the mind and body can react in unpredictable ways under extreme conditions. The mystery of the dancing plague shows us that history is much stranger than we imagine. What's your theory about what really happened in Strasbourg? Leave your opinion in the comments. And if you want to continue exploring the most bizarre and inexplicable enigmas of our past, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to not miss any of our next videos. Until the next story that will leave you speechless.